evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. How are you doing tonight? How is everyone? Just getting kind of the last little bits kind of set up in here. But we're doing our regular rainy day astronomy session tonight. It's good to see people coming in, and yeah, hope everyone is doing well. Hopefully people have recovered from their from any holiday dinners and any holiday parties that may have happened last night. And yeah, hopefully you found some interesting deals on Boxing Day for those who participate in that sales event. If not, or if you have found something really interesting, let me know, because I don't know what I want to buy for Boxing Day. What deals are kind of still left? And I know it's turned into like a Boxing Week sale. So I know it isn't just the one day anymore. Like I said before, sales aren't special anymore. It's a little unfortunate, because I like to be able to know that, yeah, you can get a good deal on something if you just kind of wait another day. But everybody's impatient. Everybody wants the lowest price right now, right away. So if you found any telescope gear, that's the other thing. A lot of telescope gear prices don't really change that much. It's a little difficult when there isn't really a sale. And when there is a sale, it's maybe like, 10, 20 bucks or 10, 20 pounds that you can save off a thing. And it's like, all right, so now it's only $1,200 instead of $1,250. But such is what kind of comes along with the cost of equipment for astrophotography. You just gotta bide your time with it and make sure that you get your budget right. That's all. But anyway, good to see you guys in here. I am Tom. I'm the Astro Canuck, and 99% of the time we are shooting live images of outer space. However, as it seems to go with all Saturday nights, we rarely have a cloud-free evening. So we are doing our regular rainy day astronomy session and just kind of keeping warm inside. And speaking of warm, I got to turn my heater on a bit because it is chilly in here. We're in the east of England, and the temperatures are starting to creep to sub-zero. So it's chilly in my little postage stamp sized house. It doesn't take much to heat it up, but it does. It's an old house. It's about 140 years old, so there are little cracks in some places that the heat's going to escape, and I end up being nice and chilly. Although some chili would be nice too, though. That'd be good. But for now, we're kind of back in our regular clothing. The Santa hat has gone away. The decorations are still up because I can't just take it down the same day. That's just savage. You gotta leave a tree up until it is either shedding its needles or the thing just falls down by itself. Same with the decorations. Maybe I'll wait for them to fall down by themselves. Neil J99, greetings from London, not the Canadian one. Hey, so you're closer to my London then. Good to see you in here. Architufus, greetings. How are you doing tonight? So we are, like I said before, I'm in the east of England. I'm in Essex County, and we are clouded out. And high winds as well, so there wasn't even if we had clear skies, we wouldn't be able to do much imaging tonight. Processing the Sunflower Galaxy, that's cool. I shot the Sunflower Galaxy like when I first had my first scope, and there was nothing. There was absolutely no usable data with that there. In fact, I don't even know where that went. I remember shooting it, and had no luck with that. Hopefully, we'll see the efforts of yours as well, and we'll have a good look at that when it's ready and available. Generally, when you process images there, how long do you usually spend on them? And there's no wrong answer here. You're not being graded or anything like that. I'm just curious on how long other people, because I know some people don't really, some people are like meh with the processing, at processing, and they just kind of fire it off as quickly as possible, and they're like, yeah, that's fine. Other people can take days. I'm kind of in the, I guess, maybe in the middle or higher end of I'll take a few hours or a day or two to kind of get an image where I want it to be, and even then, it's anywhere from 30 minutes to several days, depending on how excited I am with the data. Fair enough. I'm the same way. There is some the data where I had like multiple hours, like even like over 10 hours. That's the stuff that takes a lot longer. And tonight's image, what we have with Malot 15, that is 15 hours, and I'm probably not going to get to a point where it'll be the same thing as a lot of other imaging times, but I'm going to try to do my kind of pixel peeping nitpicky kind of processing on this for a bit, and get it to at least a point where we can start to say, well, that's a good point to say, all right, we're happy enough with that. But definitely if you spend a few more hours there, you can really kind of dig into the details. But it's I do have a couple of new tools that are that I have a permanent code for now, so I'm not having to make up new emails to get a trial for them and then lose that and try to get another email together, remember that password and forget the other one. So I have two permanent keys now for Gradient Exterminator and for Denoise AI, which, I mean, I probably should have got them a long time ago, but at least now I have the tools to kind of accentuate the processing that I do. Also, how many calibration files you can get on the data. The more calibration types, the more I'll spend on the processing, because it's really rare to have a really, really complete calibration RAWs. So it's like having to play with a puzzle toy. Right there, right alongside you with it there. I have maybe a small, not even a handful of images where I've done all the calibration files for it, and that just kind of comes down to the fact that I can be impatient with things, and I just want to be able to have the image and work on it, see where I'm at, and then eventually go back and do the calibration files. Whereas at least with having an astronomy dedicated camera, now I can at least shoot the darks at that, at the correct temperature. As far as the flats go, probably pooched on those. There's been enough changes in the image train that some of those images aren't going to benefit from any meaningful flats. But again, that's always something to see. It's like generally when the sun comes up after an imaging session, it's usually cloudy. I mean, I know a lot of places in the world have wonky weather, but I mean, the stereotypical British weather that kind of rolls in, it's generally always going to be raining. It's just it's all, nobody ever believes me when I send them a picture. I'm like, hey, look, we got sunshine. We got sunshine today. They don't believe me. So it's, largely the imaging, the quality of the image is pretty much right up there with the stability of the weather. London weather, rain and more rain, and with a chance of rain, peppered with clouds. Although I always like to think that we're at least far enough to the east that all that weather kind of coming in from the, with the jet stream, that it kind of goes up towards Scotland. Not that I have any problem with the Scots. I have some friends who live in Scotland, but you can have the clouds up there. I'll take the clear skies over here. But it's always a battle, and tomorrow night actually looks to be, it might be fairly clear for a few hours, or if not maybe 2 or 3. So that is a chance to maybe do a little more imaging tomorrow night. But right now we have 24-mile-an-hour winds, actually coming up to Looks like overnight, possible 32-mile-an-hour wind gusts, sustained winds. So I'm probably going to have to go out a little later and kind of, I'm just going to reinforce the scope. And maybe even bring in my power source as well, just in case that blows off and it gets wet, and then that one is, yeah, that one's mucked up. But tomorrow night, although we are having a 95% full moon, we are in a waxing gibbous phase, so it's more likely going to be some lunar, and possibly if I'm shooting up to the kind of the northwest, and maybe I can skirt some of the moonlight kind of coming through, so we can grab a few targets up that way. And what do we have available for that there? Up towards the northwest. Let's bring up Stellarium and have a look there. Now what I need to find is I can't remember where the button is for the meridian. To show the meridian in Stellarium. Pretty sure it's just in one of the viewing options, but where? No, thanks. All right. Sky. You Terry, how you doing? Welcome into the observatory. Thank you for joining our community, Terry. I appreciate that very much. Good to see you in here. I am Tom. I am the Astro Canuck, and tonight we are doing a little bit of image processing on the Heart Nebula. We usually take live images of outer space. However, the weather is not where we want it to be. There we go. We got the meridian. So have an idea of what we're going to look at tomorrow night. Or just hit the wrong button and we just keep going. Terry's in the United Arab Emirates. He does astrophotography too. Excellent. Third Rock, how you doing? Good to see you in here. All right, so tomorrow, so for those of you who may be new to the channel, this is my back garden in the east of England. I don't have many views to the south or to the west. The trees cost the trees cost about as much as a new piece of astrophotography gear, so they're staying. I have, at least I got a shot of Polaris from where I have the scope set up, and pretty much everything to the east and a little to the north, or sorry, up towards the zenith. So tomorrow night, what I want to see is what is available, because I can generally shoot kind of like a few degrees past the meridian for a bit, so we can get some interesting targets out that way. But let's fast forward the clock till about 5 o'clock. Probably about maybe tomorrow's going to be, if it is going to be clear, tomorrow will be an early stream. So what's the weather looking like tomorrow? I mean, we have nautical dark starting at about 5:15, and really that's kind of, it gets dark enough to start doing a little imaging. It won't get super long exposures with that, but at least we can kind of get rolling and get as much of a clear sky as possible. So we can kind of start possibly about 5 o'clock Greenwich Mean Time tomorrow. I'll get things fired up, and we have a little bit of threat of rain, but it may also be in the form of snow, so at least we'll be able to see some flurries kind of going by. Tito Gone. Tito go on. I'll just call you Tito. How you doing? Can I do astrophotography with MFT? Where in the UK? I am in the east. I am in Essex County. So it looks like tomorrow, possibly even up till maybe 8:30, 9 o'clock. We'll be able to hopefully do a little bit of imaging tomorrow night. So what do we have available up to the kind of northwest? Because the moon is going to be out to the east, and that's not going to be. I mean, yeah, it's cool to look at the moon. I mean, I'm entertaining the thought of actually kind of taking out the reducer and flattener on the scope and just kind of using the native focal length and get some more zoomed in views of the moon. We'll see how that goes there. I'm planning on going to the North Pennine to get some nice star pictures with my Olympus, so I was hoping for the smaller sensor won't hinder me. Is it just going to be on a tripod for the camera, or you have it on a star tracker? Because then that's, if you're doing stationary images, depending on your focal length, you're probably going to get maybe 30 seconds. There is a calculation. I want to say it's the 500 rule. It's been so long since I've done just stationary images, but with my camera at an APS-C size sensor, I was able to get 25 seconds at 20 some odd millimeters before I started getting star trails. I think about 13 seconds. Then yeah, you can definitely do astrophotography in that way. It just means that you're kind of doing a lot more images to try and get the details out from the shot there. But yeah, I mean, I've done exposures and images with deep sky objects at 10 and 15 seconds, and they turned out all right. Granted, they were like a bright target, so yeah, it's definitely possible to get that. Especially, I mean, the longer the wider field that you're going to be shooting at, the more forgiving it's going to be to get those pictures in there. You got a place in Sussex, but you haven't been there in ages. Oh, that's cool. It's been a while since I've been out that way. I mean, it's been a while since I've kind of been anywhere really in the UK. Kind of miss just going out for a drive somewhere. Fulmine, how you doing tonight? I'm doing well. I'm doing really well. We're doing a little image processing tonight, and because we are clouded out, but we're just having a look at what tomorrow is looking a little promising. To possibly get some images going. So I wanted to let's get the clock over. Roll it back. All right, so about 5:30 is when we can probably get some imaging going. It's been a while since I saw the sun. Same for me. I mean, I've had some clear days, but as soon as the night rolls around, that's it. We're clouded out. Do you have plans to make your scope user controlled? Not at the moment, Neil. I do not have that option quite yet. I mean, I also would have just a single scope setup, and if there can be plans to kind of moving forward with all this to kind of incorporate something like that we can, if we are doing some live star party events, when I want to be able to, looking forward into the future, once things kind of come back to a little normal, we can socialize together, is I want to have my own observatory set up. I want to have multiple scopes, some that are imaging, some that if there are people in the area that can come look, and have also, a user controlled scope. So yeah, I've been been kind of running this channel for the past 3 months right now. I've been doing astrophotography for about 4.5 years now. And yeah, there's definitely some interesting ideas that I have kind of rolling in my head. And sometimes you guys will hear these brain farts come out and, you know, we can kind of maybe elaborate on things and just share some ideas. But yeah, definitely doing something like that, having a user controlled scope. And that works really well for Econ Greg, who has been using that, having that user controlled scope for quite a while, and it's worked out really well. So like having something like that. Fulmine, you play games with Putsy, and so I wanted to ask if you have a PC gaming, how much it costs. I do have a gaming laptop, and that was gifted to me by my grandfather, and that was about 4.5 years ago. So I don't recall exactly what the price is. And really, when I'm doing more gaming, I try using Xbox, because I don't know. It's just there's very few games on the PC that I play on there. It's been a while since I've seen stars. It's been rain and cloud for 2 months now. Last night when we were having our Christmas stream, we had some clear skies and then clouds rolled in. And after I kind of shut everything down, I went outside and there was crystal clear skies when there's supposed to be clouds. Luckily enough, about 10 minutes later, this massive wall of cloud just came over top of my town. And then that was it. Everything was cloud. Everything was done. But it was that brief moment when there was no clouds. It was crystal clear. Like, the seeing was impeccable. And then after that, oh, no. Nothing like that there. So yeah, the only person who has the user-controlled scope is Econ Greg. And from what I've heard of his trials with that, there's a lot of headaches that can come along with it there. So I think I will, for the most part, I'm going to leave that to him, leave that to Greg to keep working on there. And yeah, I think something like that for me, if I'm going to do that, it's a couple years down the line of kind of going into that, because if you can see it's a tiny back garden. There's not a lot of views to have. There's barely enough room for one scope back there. So yeah, Fulmine, thank you for the lurk. Appreciate that. We'll see you around in a bit there. And that thing was a nightmare to set up. I've heard a lot about that. I mean, the reward of it is great to have people kind of image whatever's kind of available in that area of the night sky. Emilio Bono, how you doing? Good to see you in here. Thank you very much for joining the observatory. Welcome into our community. We are currently sitting under a bunch of clouds in the east of England, and we will be doing a little image processing on the Heart Nebula tonight. And for those who are subscribed to the channel on our Discord, if it has worked out right, I have set up a channel on there for the subs who should be able to, if you can't, let me know, who can access the data that we'll be using tonight. And then you can share those images a little later on once you've done your processing on that. What rig do I run? I'm using a Skywatcher EQ6R Pro, also accessed with exclamation kit, a 8-inch Ritchie-Chrétien reflector telescope using a ZWO ASI 533 MC Pro for my camera, and primarily shooting objects with a tri-band filter. And everything is all controlled with the ZWO ASI Air, which I conveniently control from my laptop. And it's worked out really well. Kind of just using the BlueStacks emulator for Windows, and yeah, everything has worked out really well. There was an issue that I had where my Wi-Fi signal had cut out, so I'm now connected with an Ethernet connection, and after that, that's worked out really well the same. So I didn't have to replace my ASI Air. I was able to just get that sorted out by buying a 10-pound 15-meter cable. Hey, I just looked at the weather forecast, and it seems the place I'm going to won't even see the sun. So there goes your astro plan. No. That's unfortunate. That's tough. I also don't like when I see a forecast kind of flip-flop as well, because when do you trust it? You know, all of a sudden it's cloudy, then it's clear, and then it's moderately cloudy. It can get really frustrating like that. Your portable setup is a Skywatcher AZ-EQ6. That's cool. I thought about getting a battery for the rig, but I think for the most part there's a lot more that I kind of keep together with all of this, so it wasn't exactly going to be more of a portable run for me. OBS worked with SharpCap. Streamlabs didn't by the time I had it up and running, and both planets were gone. Are we trying to get the conjunction at that point there? There'd be snow, so at least you can do some landscaping instead. Yeah, that'd be all right. I think it's a nice fresh blanket of snow does make for a very pretty picture as well. I barely even did any wide field imaging, but that mostly kind of caught my roof line in an image. So you try with Streamlabs, it was a worthless stream, but you got 2 minutes of video of them. All right, cool. Do you have a Instagram or a any other page, any of the socials that we can see any of your images? Because I would I'd like to drop a follow there if possible. I almost started using Streamlabs, and then after kind of seeing that, yeah, there's a lot of default stuff on there. And I don't fault anybody for using Streamlabs at all. I mean, if it's something that's kind of quick and easy to get into. But I think, yeah, with at least using OBS and Stream Elements, everything kind of works a little better for me, at least for what I want to do. And there's a lot more kind of coming up that I want to incorporate, at least for using channel points, because I know there are some of you who have been on the channel for a while, and those photons are really piling up. I mean, I want to be able to get you guys using them as well. So I think when the first round of channel point redeems kind of come out, they're going to be expensive. Streamlabs is so buggy, it's not even funny. Made the shift, might even do a stream next week. All right, cool. And through this Twitch account. Found OBS works the best. Streamlabs tend to have more bugs and glitches that occur with patches. Yeah, I've seen everything that's kind of worked out with. I mean, for how some people use using just Streamlabs to do their to do all their streaming with, it works out fine. I think it's perfectly easy. It seems a little or simpler to use, and that's fine. If you just want like you just want a click and go kind of option, then that's great. But if you like to tinker with things, at least then there's more options with just using Stream Elements or with OBS to get all those little bits incorporated in there. They said clear skies at 3 a.m. on the 31st, so I might have like a 1 hour window to do all my week's worth of photos. Good luck. I'm just having a peek at your Instagram there, Muteri. That's very nice. Some very nice images. Very cool. All right. Yeah, right. So tomorrow night's target. So it looks like we'll definitely be able to get some shots of Andromeda, hopefully. And maybe, so I think probably the cutoff is going to be like maybe where the Wizard Nebula is. You know, I know the tree right here, you know, it stops there, but it does extend a lot higher. So some of the area is cut off considerably. So possibly maybe another view of the Elephant's Trunk Nebula at the earliest time at about 5:15. We'll see how that looks, and then kind of moving along there. I mean, we shot a lot in Cassiopeia, and maybe try for the Blue Snowball Nebula and see how that looks with the camera there. If I want to buy a new camera to do everything with at a budget, which body should I go with? You said right now you're using an Olympia. I'm not too familiar with a lot of the camera brands. I've had some experience shooting with kind of older Nikons, and my primary imaging camera was Canon Rebel T5i. Is that video game music I hear? No, the music I'm using is from a company called Ben Sound. It has a familiar kind of ring to it. It does have a bit of a dramatic battle-esque kind of thing. Maybe if they did use it as well, but yeah, it's just off a music website that you can have free music off of called Ben Sound. They've used that in the past. So maybe tomorrow night have a peek at the Blue Snowball Nebula or the Elephant's Trunk Nebula. Just have a couple of targets that we may not have seen in a while on the stream there, because there's lots, and you know, in the area of Cygnus there's tons of targets that I love to shoot. You know, short of cutting the tree down, which I'm probably not going to do. And I did entertain that thought. I did think, Emma, is tomorrow going to be the day I cut that tree just right down? The only thing that stopped me from doing that is that it flowers wonderfully in the summertime, and it has tons of bees in there. I could do without the spiders that live in that tree, but yeah, it does load up with flowers, and it does attract a lot of bees, and the whole thing like hums during the summer, and it's great. So for the sake of a couple hours worth of imaging time, I'm gonna have to be nice to the bees and leave that standing. But at least we will try to image as much as possible tomorrow, starting at about 5:15, maybe 5 o'clock. Pardon me, or so. I'll kind of get the stream rolling, and if anything does change, I will throw the notices up on Discord and on Twitter, where it's kind of like my two primary channels that I'm going to let you guys know if things are going ahead or if anything's changing. So at least we will we'll see how that goes, and yeah, just deal with the weather as it comes. It doesn't look, it's like I said, right now it's going to be about 30-mile-an-hour winds, so I'm going to have to remember before I go to bed that I'm going to have to throw up a couple of supports on the telescope. And I know it's not going to go anywhere, but for my own peace of mind, I like to have at least a couple extra legs available on there, so it adds a little more stability. And in the back garden, I do have, you know, I'm fairly enclosed overall, so not a lot. It's not really much of a wind tunnel, at least. So at least then, yeah, I just want to be able to have that peace of mind that nothing is going to go anywhere, and that I can rest easy. But for now, the image that we're going to be looking at shortly to process is the Heart Nebula, and just to kind of give you guys an idea of what we are looking at here. We have shot this in the past. That is IC 1805, and those with the who are familiar with the Heart Nebula as a whole, this is kind of just the single image that we shoot, and it's this central area is lot 15, and that's what we're going to be processing tonight, which is, here's a bit of a more zoomed in shot of that target there, and that's just a single image coming out of the camera. That was a 10-minute exposure, and that's pretty much what we do on the channel. When we have the clear skies, we'll pick targets. We'll do 5, 10, maybe 15-minute exposures, depending on how dim the target might be and how much detail I want, and also how nice the guiding is working. We'll kind of get these images there. Now what we do, we'll at least do a little bit of a histogram stretch with the application there, with the software and the ASI Air, and then we can at least kind of highlight some of the details in there. So yeah, that's kind of like what we see for a single image coming through. And on nights like tonight, when we have our completed Astro image that's all stacked and ready to go, then we will start to do some processing, and then you can guys at least get an idea. For those who are not familiar with Astro image processing, I kind of run through, sometimes a little quick with it, or quick in the sense that I'm not being really picky on what I do. Like, I'll be happy with, here's a step, and if you want to kind of tweak it a little farther, here's what you can do in between. I try not to get too detailed into things, because if I'm doing a serious kind of process of these images, I can keep going back and forth with the all right. For some reason, my work phone wanted to listen to me. Also, my work phone is my backlight. And why it's listening, I don't know. I did not say anything like, "Hey Siri, stop it." So yeah, that's the kind of the quick rundown of what we do on the channel here. So I gotta move my window over. So last night we did our image of the Christmas tree nebula, or Christmas tree cluster. And that was this one here. That was ready to kind of be posted up on Instagram, and I'll drop that on there a little later tonight. But that was kind of our finished image of the Christmas tree cluster. It was 20 minutes worth of data. I wasn't even planning on having that much available. So to be able to get any kind of detail out of there, I was really happy with how that kind of turned out. There was a lot of kind of doubling up on the images there to bring out some details, and there's a lot of noise reduction in the image. As much as I was using a Astronomy dedicated camera to cut out a lot of the noise, there's only 20 minutes, and a 20-minute stack of this area of the night sky isn't going to cut out enough of the noise. Siri is always listening. Always. That's actually one of the first times it's gone off, which is interesting, because I didn't even think I said anything that was gonna set him off. All right, it is cold enough in here that my coffee is already cold. I'm gonna turn the heat on for a bit. If there is a bit of a fan whirring in the sound there, it will eventually dissipate as I warm up. But yeah, so that was last night's image. Yeah, using a lot of data from well, sorry, just doubling up on data and trying to use some elements of a StarNet image, which doesn't work that great with a refractor because it's not trained with a refractor. A reflector. It's trained with a refractor, but not with a reflector, so you still get those diffraction spikes left over in the image there. So tonight's image that we're going back and looking at is that core of the Heart Nebula, Melotte 15, which I did take with this telescope and camera combination that we're shooting everything with, and it was about 15 hours worth of data. Pardon me. It kind of ended up being one of those projects that everything nicely piled up. We had enough long nights to kind of get the data acquired, and it was also a target that stayed up in my visible area of the night sky for quite a while. So I had many unimpeded views of the Heart Nebula. So a bit of a Photoshop question. Can you make a layer that is a copy of another layer and gets updated with the other, well, when the other layer is updated? Yes. I mean, you can you can make it basically a smart object. Trying to think of the best way to explain this one. Let me go over to this file here. Let's just go convert to smart object with these two layers. Let's see. Oh, sorry, my face is in the way. I had me moved over there for a game last night, which I was playing Deliver Us the Moon on Xbox, and it was pretty interesting. I got into it maybe about an hour and a half into the game. I don't know if I'll give it a go tonight, depending on how things go, but yeah, it definitely is an interesting one to play. Anyway, so I created this as a smart object. Let me undo that so we can. Anyway, so that's a smart object. If you double click on it, then it's opening that layer. And if I switch things up, and just for an example, brush. So we have it there. If this is making any sense there, if I save this one, then it updates in there. I don't know if that makes sense. At least then, so you're editing that layer outside of. And then it'll just update in here. It works if you're doing things along the lines of composites. We are using kind of multiple layers on different areas. So if we're to we should be, so if I copy the smart object, all of them, the separate layers, draw on this. Hang on one sec. Yeah, I believe so. Lightstalker, thank you for joining the observatory. Welcome in to our community. Glad to have you in here. How are you doing? We are defacing an object here in space. All right, so let me save that one more time. So if I copy the smart object, all of them get updated when I draw on the separate layers on the tab to the right. Yes. So if you have multiple instances of that smart layer, then they all get updated across the board. So you can do whatever with the other layers within there. And then that way, again, you save that down. And then it should update in here. There you go, with just those gray layers. So if you turn that off, so you can do smart objects upon smart objects upon, you can just keep making those as deeply layered as you want. It's just a matter of keeping track of them afterwards. So yeah, if you hopefully that makes sense of making multiple layers and then yeah, just using smart objects to kind of work on smaller sections at a time there. No problem. Happy to help. So I'm going to close that. We don't need that. And we will revert. Just in case I accidentally save it and then I've kind of mucked that about. But yeah, welcome to our new followers to the channel. There was quite a few from last night, which I appreciate very much. Seeing you guys in here, and those who kind of hung out with us last night on the Christmas stream, I appreciate that immensely, because what I wanted to be able to do last night was to have a place for anybody who's just kind of looking to hang out and have something to listen to or someone to chat with in any way, shape, or form, and just kind of have a general hangout last night. And really, that kind of goes for the overall every stream with this. I mean, it is, kind of like science-based at the heart of everything. No pun intended on tonight's theme, but just to have a chilled out area for people to hang out in. I know there can be some other channels on Twitch that can be a little chaotic, and that can be fun sometimes, totally. But at the same time, just to be able to kind of do a little sidestep and just come into a little more calm environment for the most part. Yeah, just have a chilled time here. If there's any questions that you guys have, and if I can answer it, definitely gonna try and give you the best answer that I can. And if not, then it just kind of gives me something to work on in the future as well. So not always gonna have all the answers, but I want to be able to try to at least steer you guys in the right direction as much as possible. I've been a graphic designer now for, almost 20 years now. And really the amount of focus has kind of shifted from Photoshop now to like InDesign and Illustrator. You know, it's taken me on a few different paths, and you know, over the past 10 years working in the UK, kind of bringing some of the like a bit of a North American ideology towards design has somewhat helped out with some things to try to combine the different ideas of design work over here. Sometimes some of the companies don't go for it, and that's fine. It's not their cup of tea. But yeah, just to kind of be able to have picked up different styles and different tips and tricks, and you know, just different ways to process data and just kind of set up different layouts. You know, it's been a wealth of information, really. So those who are, like I said, those who are subscribed on the Discord, there is a channel with the, oh, is it on there? I say that there is a channel on the Discord for the subscribers, and I haven't even posted it. So give me a second, I'll post that in the Discord. And we'll see if that works. So this is the data that I have stacked up there. It was over a few different nights, so you can see, and I'm just kind of using that same stack, so it is kind of a bit of a level, not so much a level group, but you don't have to worry about stacking the images up. I've done that part there. But it was over a few different nights, so the framing was a little different, as you can see, with how much changed there. But if I really just kind of blow that out of, I just want to see where the boundaries of the image are. Because when you crop it down, it is on the, it's also from the square sensor, so really just kind of pulling it straight in keeps everything even. And unfortunately, we do lose quite a bit of data around there, which is a little unfortunate, and that's just, that was just kind of me centering on the wrong area. But yeah, if we kind of say that that is the portion that probably is the usable data. I can turn that off. I can delete that layer because I just wanted to see where things were. And even then, even once things kind of go forwards, we'll end up doing a little more cropping in anyway. And at least that way, when you kind of do your first, make sure I have that selected, your first levels adjustment, you know, we can start to, because there's no data in that spot there. If you hold the Alt key, you know, going up to that point, there's nothing being clipped. Once you start seeing the these areas, that's all it's everything that's kind of dark is being clipped out there. So you can bring that slider in fairly close, and then that way, you know, you're already kind of starting that stretch early on. And also sometimes you can if you can start to see more of the data, you can pick out if there's going to be any bit of vignetting. And you want to kind of do a lot of the corrections early on, as soon as possible, just so that you're not amplifying any of the issues that are in the image there. So if there's any, any inherent noise, this is also 15 hours worth of data with a cooled camera. So really, for the most part, it's going to look fairly smooth. I mean, right now we haven't really done much stretching at all to this image, but we can definitely kind of push things maybe a little farther, and that way that we're going to get a little more of an interesting image coming through there. So what I can also try to do on this one is whether or not it needs it. Is make sure we have that selected there. It's a little important because I do have the RC Astro gradient exterminator. And for the first little bit, I will kind of keep everything fine and low. So it's not going to be a really, we'll see how this kind of turns out. I may have, this is where I might even step back a little bit and maybe kind of do the fix up the gradient afterwards. So we'll switch that over from the mode to the 16-bit. Why didn't it undo that? Merge, and there we go. Now we have the just picking exposure and gamma for the HDR toning, because that just leaves the same kind of image that you're looking at with from the 32-bit. You're not changing a lot of the structure of the image there. So again, we still pull that data in because there's no information in this side here, so we're not actually clipping any data at the moment. This is where I can kind of do like steps back and forth. It's really a bit of an aggressive curve stretch on here, just to kind of see where things are at. You can even see, like, even right now, it's smooth. There's not a lot of noise in this image there. Hey, Savvy. How you doing? Good to see you in here. Things are going well. We're just we are stuck in a raining, cloudy, windy day, windy evening. Yeah, just doing some image processing tonight. Kind of going back at looking at some old data and seeing what we can pull out of that. There's been a few new tools added to the repertoire, and we'll just see how much they can help things out in our final image there. But how have you been? It is very stormy. I know, and we're getting, in at least my area, it's calling for 32 mile an hour winds. And I don't even know what the gusts are going to be. So I got to make sure that before I go to bed tonight, that I am going to reinforce the stability of the telescope to make sure that it's not going to go anywhere. I mean, it's very unlikely that it's going to move. The whole thing weighs almost about 65 kilos altogether. Very well, been enjoying Boxing Day. Have you seen any really good Boxing Day deals? Because I have not really seen anything. and the stuff that I do want to get is well out of stock. So I don't know. I don't want to do Boxing Day shopping just for the sake of shopping, you know. But at the same time, I feel like I should. Not today. Not left the house. Same. Lazy Saturday morning. Just taking it easy, really. Like I didn't kind of wrapped up the stream last night around, I don't know, 1:30 or something like that, and yeah, just kind of spent today just de-braining, not really thinking about what was going on for the stream or for anything else really. Just kind of, I finished watching Die Hard this morning, so that was one task down. Do well to secure the telescope in this weather. It's weathered worse, but I do like to secure things as much as possible. Even down here is where I have the power, and I will probably want to get that brought in. I enjoy it. I like watching Die Hard, and then Die Hard 2 is on Amazon Prime right now, so I'm going to watch that maybe after the stream is done. We shall see. However, just a it looks like you have a ghost in your camera. He does have his face set up there. Actually, he still has a Movember mustache, and we'll leave the mustache on there. So yeah, I don't know if you see on the up in the chat, we do have a poll. Now, it's not the question is Die Hard the perfect Christmas movie? Just in general, is it a Christmas movie? Yes or no? Pardon me. I think the next up for a Christmas movie will be Home Alone. It's on Disney Plus actually, which is kind of, I didn't picture that as that they own that portion of the movie scene. So I know we're already a day removed from Christmas, but at least no, Home Alone is not a Christmas movie. But Die Hard is. What would you classify Home Alone as? A psychological thriller? It's a torture device. I don't know if I watched it last night. Or, sorry, last year. If Home Alone was left off the list or not. Christmas Carol is my favorite, and Polar Express. I always found, and as just, pardon me. There we go. Die Hard's a Christmas movie, according to this poll. Polar Express, it seems, I don't know what it is about the animation, it kind of creeps me out a bit. I mean, it looks great, it looks fantastic, but just something about the characters creeps me out a little bit. I used to frequently watch A Muppet Christmas Carol. I like that one. And even the last year's Christmas Carol on BBC, that 4-part series, I thought that was really interesting. I think that was a cool take on everything there, at least kind of a, just with the characters. And notwithstanding that, I do like Guy Pearce as an actor as well. Polar Express tried too hard to be a Christmas movie. For the younger generations, it might be a Christmas movie, but it's not for me. Fair enough. No, it's hard when the movie is, you know, when they try to make it as Christmassy as possible, and it just doesn't. And it just doesn't feel like a Christmas movie. And then there's what's the other one? There is that 4 Christmases with Vince Vaughn and Reese Witherspoon. That one just hits very close to home. Love Muppet Christmas Carol. Hey, Diatom's Attack. Welcome in, guys. How's it going? Good to see you guys in here. Thank you very much, raid. Big raid. Awesome raid. Thank you guys very much. How you guys been? I was in on the stream for a little bit there. Enjoy that very much. Good to see you guys. I'm going to muck your name up. Altag Dub. Good to see you in here. Welcome to the Observatory. Thanks for joining in. Welcome to our community. I am Tom. I am the Astro Canuck. And 99% of the time, I'm taking live images of space. However, tonight we are under clouded skies. I'm in the east of England. It is pretty unfortunate to have some unclear skies tonight, but generally we do have, when we have clear skies, we are taking images of outer space. I look nervous. No, I don't. No, I don't. I don't. We are taking images of outer space with a 8-inch telescope, an astronomy dedicated camera, and when we are under cloud skies, we do some astro image processing. So we kind of take the images that we've shot over the past few sessions, or if there's been other times when I've had some free time available, we will kind of process those astro images and, you know, look at what is available in space, and just to see what these images look like, because I have a very limited view of the night sky. I should make the Christmas beard a permanent thing. There's no Christmas lights in the beard tonight. The batteries are pretty much dead. So this is what was left of the beard lights. So there, we'll leave that like that for now. Uncle Bill Druin. Uncle Bill, welcome in. I've seen you around before, Uncle Bill. How you doing? Welcome into the observatory. Ask a Scot how to pronounce it. Can you phonetically type it out? Diatom's Attack. Thank you very much for the raid. I appreciate that very much. For those in the chat who are not familiar with them, give them a follow, because there are some amazing views. Well, I am on the large. He's on the very small of using an electron microscope. Mama Bonbon, thank you very much for joining the observatory. Welcome into our community. Gadlig. Gadlig. Am I close? You're waiting to be told off. Christopher Jonathan McKee, if you don't calm your socks down, I'm going to sit you in a timeout. Does that work? Got a raid and run. Time to get home. Take care of my peeps. No worries. Will do. Thank you very much for the raid. We will we'll see you on the next stream. But yeah, appreciate it very much. Glad to see you guys in here. So yeah, generally we are taking images of the night skies. Uncle Bill, sorry I can't hang out. Not enough bandwidth. Maybe I'll catch you with transcoding sometime. No worries. We'll see you soon. Thank you very much for joining in. Thank you for the follow. So, Christopher Jonathan McKee, ban me. It's okay. Nah, I don't really ban people. I don't ban people in here. I try to make this as an inclusive area as possible. Even if you're begging for it, I will not drop the hammer. We don't do that here. Maybe some people get a stern talking to or a timeout, but I don't like to ban people. Don't want to rob people of the chance to kind of learn something new, discover someone else. We like to share the love in the community and introduce people to other aspects of Twitch. But it's good to see you in here. So yeah, I have a device called an ASI Air, and that is a Raspberry Pi computer that is attached to my telescope, and I use it to take images of the night sky, such as areas like this, which is kind of the image that we're processing tonight. And this is Malot 15 in the Heart Nebula, and this area of the night sky is located in the constellation of Cassiopeia. And if you're in the northern hemisphere, that area of the night sky is that kind of that W-shaped area just up here. So that's Cassiopeia that we see in the middle here. And there is the Heart Nebula in the night sky, kind of the northeast section there. And this is just a view from a free program called Stellarium. That kind of gives you a chance to plan out your shots for the night sky and just kind of see what's available for you as well. Because in my back garden in the east of England, I don't always have a clear view of things. You know, I am blocked by some trees to the west and to the south, and it's really only towards the east that I have some clear shots of the night sky. So I do what I can to oh, okay, so something like that. Yeah, then that's going to... That gets you time out. Are you really... All right, fine, whatever. Really cool pics. Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, so it's Uncle Bill June switched to an audio only hack for the moment. Always excited to find another Astro streamer. Yeah, thank you very much. Glad to see you in here. It's we've had this channel for the past 3 months really. Since kind of the beginning of October, I started running this, and it's been interesting to to see what the response is like with the channel there. So it's good to see you guys in here. Kevlar, evening to you. How are you doing tonight? Good to see you in here. We are just kind of going through the visual areas of what I have in my back garden there, and kind of letting the new friends to the observatory know what we're dealing with here, what we have on offer. So some of the images that we do kind of get coming through here, that is the Heart Nebula, and also we do have the Andromeda Galaxy. These are images that we've taken in the past. Kevin's Tech, thank you very much. Thank you very much for joining the observatory. Welcome into our community. Good to have you in here. Hope you're doing well. So this is a 16-minute exposure of the Andromeda Galaxy with our telescope and camera combination. And for those who are wondering what we're using, exclamation kit does bring that up. And so we have an 8-inch telescope, and it's a reflector scope, so there is just 2 components of it that transmits the image to the sensor on the camera. The less elements you can have between the universe and your sensor, the better. So with this one, it's 2 mirrors that reflect it in there, and we get some really detailed images of outer space. And the Andromeda Galaxy is 2.5 million light years away from us. It's our nearest galactic neighbor, and this is only a portion of the galaxy that we're seeing right now, because it extends much farther out either side. It's 6 full moons in width, and we are kind of looking right into the core of the galaxy at the moment there. So images like this, usually you're going to want to take a lot more images together to get some more details. I mean, overall, I'm happy with how this image turned out. So we sometimes they turn out really well. Other times, if the target is very dim, you don't get all the details that you want. I mean, there was the Wizard Nebula from the other night that we shot, and I thought that was fairly good. It's also known as the Harry Potter Nebula, or the Golden Snitch Nebula. Again, how they're kind of incorporating this Harry Potter lore into this section of the night sky, I don't know. Are the larger white dots the planets? No, those are still everything we're seeing in this image. These are all stars of just varying distances from us. This nebulous complex, I believe it is about 7,500 light years away. Let me double check on that there. So we are looking at we're still in our galaxy. Mostly everything that we're seeing in these images are within our galaxy. Anything else is going to be another galaxy all to itself. Is the green noise from the camera, and the reason you want to take more pictures, the green noise that we're getting is that is from the light pollution. That's just from my street lights that are causing this gradient. And when you do take more pictures, you can start to build up that signal to noise ratio, and once you stack all these images together, you kind of average out that the noise, and you can edit the color gradient out in those images there. And yeah, the green tint also comes from the filter. So that is the glare. And yeah, once you take more images, that's what you want to do for you know, to get a finished stack of images together. When you do these single exposures, you do get some noise coming through the image, but at the same time, you with an Astronomy dedicated camera, it's cooled to a sub-zero temperature, so it does eliminate a lot of that noise, and you know, you can get more of the details coming out from your targets there. Also, you are susceptible to to bits like this of satellites kind of coming through your image there. But the more the images that you take, you can kind of average all that out, and you're just left with a much nicer image. For things there, how many photos do you like to stack? Generally, I like to get at least 3 hours, 3-4 hours at least on an image. Otherwise, you're still kind of, if it's a dim image, you are still kind of dealing with a lot of that noise. Right now, with tonight's session, for our rainy day astronomy is what we will do a process on an astrophoto, and we kind of started working on the area of the Heart Nebula, and this is about a 15-hour exposure, 15 hours worth of data, and these were all 5-minute exposures. And right now it looks like there's not a lot to that you can see in here. However, there's a lot of detail kind of hidden behind here. And actually, if I can kind of do a quick bit of processing on here to show you guys what's coming through. Just to see what kind of data comes out of there. I'm just using Photoshop, and the tools that I'm using are generally kind of what's already in there, as well as using a set of tools called Astronomy tools, and that is by a developer called Noel Carboni. And already now you're starting to see a little more of this, of that core of the Heart Nebula coming through there. And there's just I'm just kind of running through a little quick on this one there, just to kind of give you guys an idea of what you're seeing through there. I want local contrast enhancement. So what these tools on the side here, these are action sets that are multiple steps kind of worked into basically one click. That would usually take a lot longer to get this process done than it would if you're doing it kind of step by step out of there, because within that there's quite a few steps that go into this that are done in a matter of seconds. Some of these processes can take a little longer. You know, otherwise it's you know, we're starting already now to kind of see more of these details coming through there. You know, so even looking at the individual color channels, is that in the red, you know, because all the images are made up of, you know, it's a one-shot color camera that we're using, and usually with some of the images coming out of space, that you want to use a monochrome camera because you're going to get more detail. However, being in the east of England, I don't always have a long stretch of clear nights. So if you're using a one-shot color camera, at least then we can you know, we can utilize the data as quickly as possible, so you guys can get a color image almost immediately. So, you know, while it's nice to look at a black and white image, it's also really nice to see a color image start to come through. So there are a few steps that you kind of got to go through to start building up the detail in here. I still do need to make a bit of a color correction, but we're just kind of pumping up a bit of the vibrance in there. And what we want to do for this little color balance is find a bit of a neutral area. Otherwise, you're starting to because you can see there's a bit of like a green kind of tint in there. We kind of want to get rid of that, and that's really going to become by kind of picking on a bit of a gray neutral area. But there's a lot of nebulosity in this section of the night sky, so it can be tough to kind of get that evenness in Photoshop, because Photoshop isn't really designed for astrophotography. There are other programs, AstroPixel Processor or PixInsight is another program that's really good for editing your images, and those are designed for astro imaging, whereas Photoshop is generally more towards terrestrial side of things, and we're kind of bending it to our will. And this is still the Heart Nebula. This is the core of the Heart Nebula, also classified as Melotte 15. And it's this kind of star forming region this area is kind of shaping the whole nebula itself. I can open up an image of the Heart Nebula as well, so you can kind of see a larger swath of area that we're looking at. And then that way you guys can see, you know, kind of a little more of context of where this is. So we'll get that opened up. So this is the entire complex of the Heart Nebula. So the area that we're kind of working on is this little section here. This was taken with a smaller refractor that has a much wider field of view. I apologize. I-8051. Welcome to the observatory. I'm sorry I missed that alert coming through there about 50 minutes ago. My apologies. I don't like to exclude anyone on here. But yeah, thank you for joining the observatory. Welcome to our community. Glad to have you in here. Glad to see you still here. Appreciate that very much. So yeah, this area is the Heart Nebula, and when you're doing a wide field image, you get more of the nebula within it. However, with the sacrifice of detail. So if I were to even zoom in on this one, you know, it looks nice. It looks really cool. I like it a lot, but it's, you know, the detail, you know, when we look at this section here, you know, we're getting a lot more detail of the wispy clouds and the structure of the nebula, whereas, you know, in this version it looks great, but you know, it's very blurry. It's not as sharp. So when we are shooting at these longer focal lengths, it's see if I can kind of get these at the same. Bit of the same acid there. Anyway, so there's our view of this at about 1,000 millimeters in focal length, and this was at 250 millimeters in focal length. So I mean, I like this one. Is you know, this one is a little more processed. Andeller, welcome in. Thank you for the follow. Welcome to the observatory. Glad to have you into our community. Good to see you in here. So yeah, that was the image that we had processed before, and when you go to longer focal lengths, you just get more details coming through. This is also a combination of narrowband and broadband as well. Just call me Zen. I had no idea any of this was done before finding the site of Twitch. This is super cool. Thank you. Appreciate that. This is what we do on this channel. I love astronomy, and I love talking about astrophotography and astronomy, and it's just I figure Twitch is a great place to kind of do this. You know, seeing some new faces in here, I appreciate it very much. And just kind of meeting new people and discovering new interests as well has been a really cool thing with Twitch. You know, especially as it's kind of had a bit of a boom since a lot of the lockdowns started happening in different areas of the world. There's a slight difference in colors of the stars due to image stacking. Yes, it with this one here. I mean, this image has been like kind of fully processed, and the star colors have been amplified a little bit there. And I try to keep them as natural as possible. You know, whatever stars are the hot white stars, the blue stars, or the red supergiants, at least keep them as red as possible, you know. Whereas with this one, this is also with a different camera, and sorry, same camera, but different filters. And I'm still adjusting the color balance on here. So while generally everything that we're seeing is red, is kind of in that 652 nanometer range of the visible spectrum, I was using a broadband filter. Now the whole thing of the everything that I'm shooting is within the in the visible spectrum, and the red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. And with the filter that I use to cut out light pollution, we eliminate a lot of that middle area of kind of like the green end of the spectrum, because there's not a lot of green in outer space. Hydrogen is one of the largest elements that's in great abundance in outer space. So you're able to, that's a lot of the red is what we're seeing in here. That kind of fits in that end of the spectrum there. And kind of the rest of the colors are from any reflections from the stars, or if there's any other gases in that area. There's more colors that you do see with supernova than in stellar nurseries, such as this area that we're looking at, where these stars are just being born and they haven't exploded. An example of an exploded star would be the Crab Nebula. Which is this supernova remnant, and that was, you know, there's more colors in this one, because when a star explodes, it creates heavier elements, and that's what kind of seeds formation of life elsewhere in the universe, or just other, you know, metals, gold, for instance, that kind of appear elsewhere on different planets. But these are also processes that take millions of years to kind of coalesce into other areas of the universe. But this was a supernova that was witnessed in 1054 AD, and it is 6,400 light years away from us. So this kind of expansion that we're seeing of this supernova, right in the center here, is the neutron star that's kind of left over from the explosion. And you know, this whole supernova has grown over the past 1,000 years. And there are some visualizations and some images that have been kind of collected where you can see kind of the motions of the star in the center. So yeah, supernovas generally are going to have some different colors as opposed to areas that are kind of birthing stars. So what I want to do, it's CD. Andy, good to see you here. How you doing? How have you been? I remember an old photo in where someone did multiple exposures without tracking, and gradually throughout the focus, somehow the blurred exposures accented the color of the stars. Interesting effect. Yeah, if you can find that image. I know I can see what you're talking about there. And also, there's some people who take some images of defocused stars. You can really start to see the color of them. I want to say it's on Twitter, Steve Brown, who does a lot of star color images. I think it is. I have to double check on that there. Really good there. Excellent. Good to hear. Have you had any good skies lately? Just having breakfast here. Is it clear for you tonight? Nope. Nope. Unfortunately not. Last night was, we had a little bit of a clear sky. It was more kind of looking at the moon. And then we got quickly clouded over, but that was all right. Tomorrow night is looking to be halfway decent. And that will probably be a stream starting at about 5 o'clock Greenwich Mean Time. And I'll probably have maybe a couple hours of clear skies, maybe 3 if we get really lucky. For now, we have almost 30-mile-an-hour winds kicking up and pretty much 100% cloud cover kind of rolling through the whole night. It's really interesting that a supernova was visible from 1068 AD. 1054 is when it was recorded by Chinese astronomers. But yes, in that time frame. The light's still visible and traveling now, even though it's gone. It's 6,400 light years away. It'll be... I mean, what we're seeing now is... Obviously, it's in the past, but, you know, it had already exploded 6,400 years ago, and it's much larger at this point. But yeah, we're seeing it as it was. No worries. Mooncat 45, how you doing? Good to see you in here. Welcome to the observatory. Glad you joined our community. We are currently under some clouds here in the east of England, but we do what we can when we have some cloudy skies, and generally that is doing a little bit of image processing. Now, for those new friends to the observatory, I wanted to at least kind of quickly bring this image up to a viewable, something that's a little more pretty to look at than a dark screen. So we have kind of charged through on the processing on this, but at least it's a 15-hour data set. And for those who are Icy Yogi, how are you? Of course, it's you. Good to see you in here. Welcome to the observatory. Good to have you in here with us. I'm an old fart with a tricky memory, nor do I have access to Space and Telescope archives. That image is likely over 20 years old now, and it's unlikely I could find it. I would save it locally if I could. Well, I'll keep an eye out for an example. And actually, let me jump over to Twitter for a hot second, because maybe this guy will have an example of what I'm looking at there. Steve Sirius Brown. Whoops. Sky and Telescope. There we go. I'm thinking of something like this with his background. That's what I'm picturing in my head, what you'd mentioned there. At least while he has the defocused stars. But you said it's more of like almost a star trail that someone had done. Multiple exposures without tracking gradually through out of focus. Drop a link there where I can see. All right, I will. It is just his header image there. There we go, and also a little bit of hype for for Steve Brown in the chat there. Yeah, it's in the Discord. It's in here as well. We'll do that. Ice Yogi, come here for the microscope guy. I came here with Diatom's attack. So cool and interesting what channels exist here. I'm quite new to Twitch. Well, glad to have you in here. Glad to see that you've gone from the is it the micro to the macro? Is that the direction we're going here? Anyway, so you're in the land of the small. Now we're in the land of the massive structures of the universe. Good to have you in here. I'm fairly new to Twitch myself. I would say I've had an account with Twitch for quite a while, but I didn't start doing this until about October, and you know, it's been pretty fun doing this. I enjoy meeting new people on the channel, and yeah, just kind of finding some other interests and those with like interests as well, and just seeing what other people are into. It's the best way that we can really kind of get around the world at the moment. So I think yeah, Twitch is pretty beneficial to what we're looking to do here. But yeah, thank you very much for coming in. Thank you very much for sticking around from the raid. Grabix. Maybe we'll find some galaxy-sized diatoms. I'm trying to think if there's what have we imaged that kind of looks like one. I don't know if I've shot that. There are some planetary nebulae that do kind of look like a diatom. I'll keep that in mind for the next time we're doing an imaging session. And yeah, I think that'd be an interesting bit of a crossover and comparison. Very interesting topics here. There's tons of, and even just some really cool people to meet on here. I think just the way how my schedule has worked out during work hours, there's more channels that are open from Australia. And I've met a lot of cool people from that side of the world, such as It's CD here, Andy, who does a lot of astrophotography in Australia, and you know, just being able to see those different targets as well. Maybe the Helix Dumbbell Planetary Nebula. I don't have that as a photo, but I think we should be able to see that in. Oh, wait, I do have the dumbbell. Did shoot that. Let's have a look. See if maybe some people might agree it loosely could resemble a diatom. Let's see, that is. No, that's the Ring Nebula. Thought I had a better picture of that. Actually, let's go with a little bit of self-promotion on here. The Dumbbell Nebula. Maybe a bit of a tenuous grasp on the look of a diatom. I don't know, maybe, we'll see. If those may agree or not. It's hard to believe that you took that picture looking at the sky from your garden. I gotta be honest with you. I'm amazed by this stuff too. For the longest time, I was using a regular Canon DSLR, which is now semi-retired as my webcam. And the sensor on a DSLR can heat up to 20, 30 degrees in the night. The beauty of a astronomy dedicated camera is that it can cool down to sub-zero temperatures, thus eliminating a lot of the noise that kind of comes through an image there. And this was a single 10-minute exposure of the Dumbbell Nebula. A little bit of post-processing with Instagram's kind of settings on there. Not a whole lot that was done on this one there. Yeah, to be able to pick out these areas of the night sky, it's amazing. Had to work very, very hard to get any images with the DSLR, and still work hard to get these images with the astronomy dedicated cameras. But you know, it's worth it. The price and the kind of budgets that have been worked over the past few years. I mean, to get to this point, I'm very happy with things. Astro Addict Tim, how you doing, man? Good to see you in here. Had a whole lot of people. Yes, true. We had a nice raid from another science and tech streamer, Diatom's Attack, who dropped his crew in here. He works on the electron microscopic range of things. So we have a nice variance of scales in the chat right now. I'm very good at astronomy. Astro Addict is also very good at astronomy. I'd say a little better at astronomy. But yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Posted the sunflower processing result in Instagram and the Discord. Oh, okay, excellent. You already got that rolled out. Well, that's very nice. Very nice arc. That's really cool. And just the fact, everything, you know, the Sunflower Galaxy notwithstanding, but everything else surrounding it, other galaxies that are in this shot, you know, stuff like this. This is what I love about astrophotography. That there's more than just the bright stars that we can see in there. So yeah, no, that's tremendous. That's really cool. That's nice processing on that. I like the colors. They're nice and vibrant, but it's not like, you know, it's not like I don't know. It's really nice. It is really, really nice. Did I read about the APP update? No, I think astrophotography was mentioning something about APP yesterday. Pardon me, yesterday. No, I haven't used it yet. What have they done with it? Is this going to be something that's going to make me buy a license for APP? Because right now we are bending Photoshop to our will. I have an old Meade with a tracker, but very entry level, and never tried to attach a cam. Meteor mount is way more expensive than my old telescope. Very impressive results. No worries. Thank you very much. Yeah, it's Meade with a tracker. If you can slap a camera on top of a tripod, you can start doing astrophotography from that point there. I started off with a small 5-inch compound telescope and did some alright images coming up from there. But yeah, once I moved to an equatorial mount, at least then we can kind of follow the the rotation of the Earth, so we can keep the stars pinpoint in our images there. But thank you. I don't know about your license, but the star reduction stretch sounds very tempting. The biggest update for APP would be for it to remember a default folder instead of having to enter it over and over again. So I'm guessing that it doesn't do that. That does sound frustrating if you got to keep going back and forth, back throughout all your images there. I can imagine, like, why can't technology just work? I mean, I know there's a lot of programming that goes into programs, but you know, let's just make things work. You know, we don't have time to be faffing about with searching for files. Have the files open right away. We want to know where these things are. Billy Galaxy Art. Good to see you in here. Welcome to the observatory. Thanks for coming in. I saw you earlier in Diatom's Attack channel. Dropped you a follow as well. Interested to see what you do. The username intrigued me. Good to have you in here. We are doing a little bit of processing on Malot 15, the Heart Nebula, which is part of, this is the central area of this portion of the night sky. So it's this central bit. This is a wide field image of the Heart Nebula, and this was a deep sky shot of that with a larger telescope and a longer focal length of, the other one was 250 millimeters, this is about 1,000 millimeters in focal length. And I have exaggerated things a little quicker than usual with here. But hey, Paul Rowe, game for Paul. Everybody, game for Paul Rowe is here. How are you doing tonight? How are you, G4? Good to see you in here. Quark Mark. Love me some diffraction spikes. You know what? I was not a fan of diffraction spikes early on. I thought it looked really weird. However, after getting a scope that has a reflector, I love them. I don't know what it is, but it's really cool to kind of see it. It also makes me think more of, you know, the Hubble telescope images, of which this scope is just a much smaller version of the Hubble Space Telescope. You're all good, excellent. Doing well over here. Where are the beard lights? Oh, they're here. Also, a shout out for Game for Paul Rowe. Has some fun games that he plays on the channel. He's a cat. He's adorable. Check him out. Real diffraction spikes are great. Adding them in post-processing, though, no. I tried that on one image. I didn't like it. I didn't like that at all. So yeah, the beard lights. They're here. The batteries are pretty much dead. I can turn it on for a little bit, but I'd have to get more batteries. Close enough. It's not as magical when you can see the wires. Mojo Jojo. Mojo Jojo, how you doing? Happy holidays. Merry Christmas to you. Merry Christmas to everybody. Or happy Saturday. Or happy Sunday, depending on where you are. Good to see you in here. Quark Mark, my Santa gift to me is a Star 8 autoguider. So excited to get it. Might be a cause for bad weather worldwide. It might be. We have you to thank for it. But yeah, good to see you getting some new kit as well. It's always exciting to have that, to be waiting for that to come through the mail. Love the beard. Thank you. It's yeah, it was a little. It was cheaper than beard glitter, or less of a mess than beard glitter, and it's also a bit of a pain to kind of, because I also, it's not just kind of weaved in there. I do have little clips that go in the beard. No, there's too much beard. Can't even get a little bit of a clip. It does look like in Mojo's message, it does look like your cat is holding my name. It's a team effort. A team effort on here. That's what we do. Try to support each other as much as possible. Happy Saturday and Merry Christmas. Thank you. Thank you. So yeah, I thank you guys for coming in. Thank you guys for sticking around on the channel. We, like I said before, we generally will do some live imaging, and tomorrow night it might be clear. So at about 5 o'clock Greenwich Mean Time, I will be looking to start another stream so we can do some live astro imaging and take some images of the night sky and try to get some other targets that we haven't shot in a while. Like I said, I do have a limited area of the sky to shoot, but there are some wonderful targets that are available. There is no I in team, but there is an I in meat pie, and meat is an anagram of team, and however else that goes. We are the meat pie. Go for some meat pie right now. Maybe a pasty. Cornish pasty would have hit the spot. There's a bakery near me. Butcher's. They have some amazing Cornish pasties there. It's been so long since I've had them. They deliver though, so I might have to put in a delivery to my butcher's. This one's on you. This one's on you, G4. So yeah, right now, unfortunately tonight, we're under clouded skies. We have 30-mile-an-hour winds kicking up, so there is no chance of any astrophotography tonight. Tomorrow night will be, like I said, if it's going to be clear, great, we'll do some shots. It'll be some deep sky objects plus the moon, because we're at our almost a 95% full moon right now, and that's going to dominate the eastern portion of the sky. Now you're hungry. Well, I have a couple pieces of chicken left over from dinner, if you want me to email those over to you. They're a bit of a chili and lime with some honey. Just a couple of strips left over. If you want one, I'll send them to you. There were some M&Ms. I don't know where I left them. They're somewhere in the house. But yeah, so our image of the Heart Nebula. Now at this point, what I would kind of want to do is, it was delicious, and possibly with some with some meat-filled pierogi on the side. It's delicious. There's no more pierogi left though. I'm sorry. Just shove them in your KFC console. Keep it warm. Do some gaming, keep stuff warm. Nick, how you doing? Good to see you in here. I'm still baffled by that KFC console. Seriously. I also still have not downloaded that KFC dating game. I think we'll save that for a crazy other stream, maybe. Insomniac Flashback. How are you? My Christmas was all right. We had our Christmas hangout yesterday, so there were quite a few people kind of hanging out on chat. So it was good to see those in here. Hopefully you had a good one as well. Yeah, good to see you in here. How have you been? We're currently looking at a image of the Heart Nebula, in the core of the Heart Nebula, really, and just try to get as many details. So when you're looking at this in the red, green, and blue channels, obviously the red has more of the, we just kind of pick up the hydrogen, and now also you can see in the blue is that it can still probably crop in a little more on this image because not everything was stacked up evenly, because it was a bit of a different framing. There was many nights that this was shot over, so you probably want to crop in a little more. The only problem with that is that we lose a little bit of these interesting bits of nebulosity in down the corners here. So that is a bit of a downside when you're kind of shooting over multiple nights and with a very long focal length. You know, so there's many interesting spots within the Heart Nebula. However, you know, we don't always get the every little bit of detail, so we kind of have to deal with that as and when. But yeah, that's the what I like to do with these channels as well is to kind of create a bit of a luminance layer. And that is done by copying just that gray channel over there, and you paste that. When you paste it in, okay, calm down. When you paste it in, what I generally will do is kind of take the red and the green, because the green, there's more green pixels, or more green signal that's coming through, and you can just see that there is a bit of a noise difference as well. So if you do a bit of a sometimes you can do per channel processing on the images there, and that way you're kind of really dealing with the noise on an individual level of each color channel. Because if you kind of do it globally, it can muddle things up a bit, and you end up with, you're amplifying some changes in another channel and you're getting a clear image in another, and then it starts combining them, and this is where like a bit of a longer process kind of comes into play with doing astro image processing. And so what I kind of do here is just, again, a bit of a quick kind of not so much of a how-to, but more of a, this is how I kind of go about things, and you can kind of tweak things as you kind of go. And for those who are subscribed to the channel and do want to have a go with this data, the link should be available on the Discord for the subscribers portion on there, and then that way you can kind of tweak this data. And I'd be interested to those who want to do that, to process it as well. I'd be interested to see what you come up with. I'm pretty sure we're going to get a better result from you guys. But the idea of this one is to kind of build up a luminance layer and just kind of add in a little bit of that green channel, so that you're kind of mitigating a little bit of that noise from the red, helping out with a bit of the, you know, you can see that a bit of that noise kind of disappearing there, at the expense of a tiny bit of contrast, but that can be kind of brought back in afterwards. So doing something like this, you would just kind of merge the visible layers, and then just either Control A or Command A to select all, copy that, and make sure when you're back in here, just make sure your channels are on, and you just paste that gray layer on top of there, and it really can just be a luminosity layer, and you can adjust the opacity as you wish, but you can just kind of see there is that little bit of change in the image, and I can kind of see that initial gradient removal that we did before. Actually, what it did, it kind of, I saw that it has actually affected this bright star in there. So what I might do is kind of keep things a little tighter on that there. Invert the selection, and I didn't know that there was a Luma blend in Photoshop. I always use multiply. I always try different blending options, but yeah, for the most part, I never really use the luminosity. I And it wasn't until I saw that Trevor Jones, Astro Backyard, he had suggested doing something like this with the per channel editing and creating a bit of a luminance layer from your data, and then just using the luminosity. So now this is the gradient exterminator. We'll see how that goes, if it helps even things out a little bit there, and it did. Now I'm left with a bit of a yellowish kind of tone. But you see that bit of a difference there. It kind of evens things out a little better. And that's the RC Astro gradient exterminator. It was about 50, I think it was about $50 US. And for the most part, it's, even when I use like the trial versions of it, it works out great for the most part. I think if there's like a very, very bright star kind of on the fringe of things, you kind of got to pick where you do the lasso tool on that there. But overall, you kind of get a nicer, even image rather than there are some, where is it, there is some gradient reductions in the Astro tools, but it does kind of it muddles up with the colors a lot more. Hey, DJ Billy Deadpool, how's it going? Good to see you in here. How have you been? Welcome in. Merry Christmas or Happy Saturday to you. So what I will try and do on this one here is we pick. Now it's kind of tough to get like a bit of a decent color balance on here because there's a lot of nebulosity in this area. That was not too bad, but the stars are still now the thing is that you could also kind of blend things together by using, that one's not too bad. Let me cancel that. Do one more check of that by just adjusting the channels individually. That's a little better. See, that's not too bad, but what I wanted to be able to kind of maintain is this, you know, there's a lot of nebulosity in the area here. And I don't like the, in my previous image I did, it just seemed to, I lost a lot. And even now I think I'm losing a bit of the nebulosity in here. So sometimes what I will do is just kind of reintroduce that luminosity layer. And you can see we're already starting to get a little bit of that back. And that is way too much for the saturation. Actually, what I can do is, again, with a color correction in Photoshop, is it can be iffy. So it looks like there is layers. There are layers. Because when you are kind of building up an image for astrophotography, that you kind of want to build up those layers, and really for the most part, I really could be making things a lot worse than I need them to be. Yeah, not happy with that at all. So we'll drop that out. We'll leave that layer out of there for right now. But yeah, as the kind of the images are being put together there, I do go through a bit of several options there to see what happens. So I do go back and forth and try to get the best image that I can with the data, but I also don't want to have unnatural colors kind of showing up in the image there. So that one doesn't look too bad on this screen, but it looks very green on the other monitor there. A little blue, but we'll leave that one as it is there. But I mean, still, even though it's 15 hours, and zooming in on here, there's still not a lot of noise, and I haven't taken any darks on this. Those who may not be familiar with what darks are for astrophotography is that you are using you're taking pictures with the camera lens on at the same temperature and exposure time, and that will kind of help average out any of the noise, any of the hot pixels that are on your sensor that just kind of naturally occur, and it will help eliminate that. But with an astronomy dedicated camera, there is such little noise on there that you can kind of deal with it there, like an ogre. Yes, ogres have layers like an onion. Not that if you leave them out in the sun too long, they'll become all brown and shrivelly. I like it. I like how detailed what the scope can bring us. So here's the image at 100%. So even at we're at 3,000 by 3,000 pixels essentially on these with the camera sensor there. So you can blow this up to a fair size when if you're going to print them. I would definitely want to put a lot more work into this if I was going to be printing it. I would definitely want to kind of get rid of. I would go back a few steps, and I want to. It looks a little yellow, and I don't want. It really shouldn't be kind of yellow in this area. And that's also where kind of doing some the per channel processing is can really come into play there. Because we can see with the red channel, there's still a lot of noise because there aren't as many red pixels available to capture the light. So the camera has to make up for all the detail that's in between all the other pixels. With the green channel, it's a little smoother because there are more green. There's the Bayer matrix is red, green, green, blue, and then that just repeats throughout the whole camera there. So right away, you got to be you're going to be getting more of the green coming through there, and there's not a lot of green out in space. Blue, same way. All images captured on a Nokia 3310. Is that your camera? Or is it just the Sony sensor, that Nokia? Nokia. Oh my God. Why was I thinking Nikon? Yes. The trusty Nokia, which I had one back when I was a teenager, and there's still about 30% battery on it from the first charge. Still thinking cameras. But yeah, while the red has like the most interesting detail, it is also the area with the least amount of pixels to capture the data. So it 30%. Damn, I played a lot of the Snake. Yours is on 69%. Such a child. We're all children. Unbreakable Nokia. Indestructible Nokia. So doing per channel processing, if I was to kind of do that the whole way through, especially with the red channel, I could probably preserve a lot more of the details in here. But because when you kind of do a lot of the image processes on here, it does do a bit of it globally changes everything on the channel there. Sorry, across the red, green, and blue, and it does that evenly. But because there's going to be different data sets within each channel, you want to be able to go through them individually. And there have been some images that I've done that that have gone back and reprocessed with per channel editing, and there is a big difference. I'll show that image just in a quick second here. I have a series of DSLRs, but my favorite is a Nikon D850. I can't remember. I have a Nikon. It's not in this space at the moment. I don't know which one it is. The problem with that one is it doesn't have a live view, so doing astrophotography with that camera was a little difficult, and I only used it for a little bit, and the shutter as well was bent, so it didn't open all the way, so there's a bit of a shade on one of the corners there. So yeah, it was most of the time I was using the Canon Rebel T5i. Fish and chips, happy Boxing Day. Happy Boxing Day to you too. Good to see you in here. How have you been? Yeah, so this is so if I run the local also running these actions on here as well. The kind of the farther you go into the image, the more you are going to be amplifying any problems that have kind of cropped up there. So really, it is kind of, you want to be able to get these things done as soon as possible. Just so you're not you're using like the kind of the earliest form of the data as well, and then just do the light tweaks afterwards. I really want to give the Google Pixel 5 phone a try. It looks like you can do AP with its camera. If only it's not as expensive. I've never tried one. I have had the inkling of trying out a Google Pixel phone as well. I've been a Samsung Galaxy user since the S4, and what am I up to now? The S10, and it's going to take a lot to kind of pull me away from you. All good? Excellent. Excellent. Wonderful to hear. Give a stretch. One sec. I'm still here. Not going anywhere. I'm right here. It's important to stretch. Otherwise, you get all crampy. That's not the point of doing this. I can be comfortable as possible. So yeah, going back to the per channel editing and kind of showing you guys an example of how that benefits the images. find that there. There we go. I would have loved your parents' old house. Middle of nowhere, zero light pollution. Could see Comet Hyakutake in 1996, Hale-Bopp in 97 with the naked eye easily. For that matter, you could see the Milky Way most nights. I remember seeing Comet Hale-Bopp and Hyakutake in my backyard back in Canada, and that was about the same time when we had our kind of first telescope. It was just a small little Tasco refractor. I was going to say reflector, but no, it's a refractor. I don't know what came of that scope. I was kind of I was wondering where it went off to. I don't even remember selling it in like a garage sale or anything like that, or a garage sale. That is definitely Diablo 2 music. The one that's playing right now, it could be the same stuff that they've. I mean, music does get recycled over times there. Rhino G7S. GS7. Rhino GS7. Thank you very much for the follow. Welcome into the observatory. How are you doing tonight? Glad to have you in our community. We are doing a little bit of image processing on the Heart Nebula tonight. Nice Unit. Welcome in. Thank you very much for the follow. Appreciate that very much. Good to see you in here. How are you doing tonight? How are you guys? We're doing a little image processing on the Heart Nebula, and the night views were spectacular. I think, yeah, there's a couple people. I don't know if he's still in here with Andy, who is in Australia. He has some incredible views of the night sky in a Bortle 1 zone, which is pretty much no light pollution. And that's kind of the goal of almost every astrophotographer, is to be in an area where you don't have to worry about, using your filters for the sake of getting rid of your neighbor's lights. You okay? Thank you. Excellent. Good to hear that. For those of you who have just joined into the channel and kind of tuned in, welcome. I am Tom. I am the Astro Canuck, and 99% of the time we are taking live images of outer space. However, being in the east of England, we're clouded out. We have 30-mile-an-hour winds, so the scope is quietly having a snooze outside. And hopefully tomorrow night, around 5 o'clock Greenwich Mean Time, we will have the cover off and be doing some imaging for a few hours. Until then, it's a bit of a astrophotography, astronomy chat, and image processing session. And that's kind of the regular thing we do on a Saturday, because there have been very few nights on a Saturday where we've had clear skies. Happy to abandon this format when we do have clear skies, so the schedule can change. This has been fun. Glad to found this. I'm gonna head off. Nice meeting y'all. Well, just call me Zen. Zen, thank you very much for coming in. Appreciate having you on the channel there. Happy to have you in, and we will see you on the next one there. Can't wait for the live observation. Hype. Who's this one? Who's this? They have a beard emote as well. We have a beard emote too. So Olympus is sold to another company, so I guess I'm not getting into the Olympus ecosystem then. What I've seen with, in terms of cameras for doing astrophotography, is some people like using a Fuji camera, because their sensor is their Bayer matrix on there isn't repeated until it's about maybe a 40 pixel variance on there. So kind of the images that kind of come through there aren't as, they're a little more richer that kind of come through with the Fuji camera with their sensor. So that may be one to look into, depending on what your goals are going to be. I think also, but for the same way of processing an image from a Fuji camera is a little more difficult, because it's not like that typical RGB format. Have I encountered any issues with the Starlink satellites? Not really, no. For the most part, when we could see like those Starlink trains going over, they weren't really in an area of the night sky that I was kind of looking to shoot there. However, there have been many people I've seen that have just been completely Starlinked in their images. For the most part, I think now that they have kind of reached that altitude and that orbit where they're not reflecting the sunlight there. So as much of a pain and that kind of knee-jerk reaction was at the beginning of when they were launched, I think it has calmed down a little bit. I don't see as many people, really freaking out over what's gone on with Starlink there. I think for the most part, the images that we have shot, just trying to find one that has a satellite going through it. There we go. There was this image of the Wizard Nebula from the other night, and really it was just right across the middle here. We had one satellite pass through there. And before, when people would kind of get when they would get Starlinked, there were multiple streaks of varying brightness kind of going across that whole image there. So at least that has kind of come down to a minimum. These are kind of like the regular satellites that you're going to get through the images, but something this faint can easily be edited out of an image. So that's not that big of a worry. So jumping back to talking about per channel editing on an image. This was a image that I shot with my star tracker a while back, and back in 2018, and a lot of graduate students that were very upset. As great as the idea of Starlink is, I think that initial execution was at least poorly communicated, because I think a lot of people were figuring that this is the end of astro imaging, and just having to deal with all this is just going to take all the fun out of it, take the wind out of their sails, and really just screw up the night sky for anybody who doesn't have a space telescope. But yeah, it looks like that they got things kind of sorted out now, and I know they still don't have that full fleet of satellites up there, but we can only hope that in the future that they are going to be as discreet as possible. And per channel editing. With this image, this was the original image that I posted up back in 2018, and it was a wide field shot of the Cygnus constellation, and we have the North American Nebula and the Butterfly Nebula, or the Gamma Cygni Nebula, which is, can we see a mouse, a pointer on here? Yes, we can. This image here, this little area of the sky, is part of our background image. And where is YouTube? There we go. So this area in our background image is that tiny little area right there. So there's a lot to see in the Cygnus constellation. No worries. I know they created anti-reflective coating. It seems to be working, and that's good, because that reduces their albedo, not their libido, their albedo. And yeah, it's good that they've taken it into account. But I think it was that initial problem that, it was really cool to see a Starlink train going overhead, and it was eerie not hearing anything. If they at least emitted like a low kind of hum as they kind of went across the sky, that wouldn't be so unnerving. But it's weird seeing that structure-ish kind of view of satellites kind of going across the sky very silently, and for a long time as well. I think even if they played a little music as they went by, it wouldn't be as unsettling. Also, no, I love derailing. I love when chats, when things get derailed, because we always open up to some other different discussion. So yeah, no worries about that whatsoever. Now, I've asked this before. Is Die Hard a Christmas movie? Yes or no? I did a poll before. Yes won, but there was a different group in here. So, like I said, I just finished watching Die Hard for the umpteenth time today. And I'm on to number 2, either after this stream or tomorrow morning. So with this image, my pretty much like early days of processing the an Astro photo, I thought it looked all right. I foolishly added diffraction spikes in there because I thought it looked kind of cool. Pardon me. Couple years later, after kind of learning some new processing techniques and doing the per channel editing, this is the exact same image, but I edited each layer of the red, the green, and the blue individually. And I think came up with a much smoother, much more detailed image overall. And this is kind of looking into the band of the Milky Way. So there are many more stars in this area of the night sky. So I think everything kind of turned out a lot better by just, before I was doing a global edit of everything. Whereas now it was each individual channel was being tweaked. So, you know, a global edit of things versus working on each black and white channel. And I think that turned out a lot better. It took a lot longer to do this. Even, you know, it was probably a couple of days worth of tweaking the channel, each channel, and going back and forth there. So yeah, that's the that is your benefit of editing each red, green, and blue channel for your Astro images. Takes a lot longer, and overall though the results are much more favorable for an image there. And I don't know which YouTube video it was, but I was from Astro Backyard, and it was I have to see which one. I think it was something like the top Photoshop tips or something like that, or photo editing tips, and it was per channel editing was what he really stressed. And for the most part, that's what I try to do with each image there. And I will go back and, you know, redo the image that we were working on tonight as a per channel image, because that red channel gets really screwed up with global editing there. I do think Starlink is a good thing, and a lot of the world has no access to information via the internet. And that's true. I think there was, I know there are some people who were installing their first kind of satellite receiver for Starlink, and I think it was like $350 US or something like that, or I can't remember what the initial price was, and it's like another $150 a month for it. It's not cheap right now. However, everything kind of starts off fairly expensive, and hopefully once technology advances, then we can hopefully see some cheaper prices in some areas. Watch it on Christmas Eve, Die Hard. Think it is, because it's a movie about family, really. You know, it's not the traditional idea of a Christmas Carol, although Muppet Christmas Carol is like the only Christmas Carol that I do watch. Yeah. Die Hard is a Christmas movie. Gremlins is a Christmas movie. Gremlins is not on Amazon Prime right now. I want to watch it. It's been so long since I watched Gremlins. So yeah, the per channel processing that I was mentioning about, it is working on each individual so is what you when you make another gray deselect that. A grayscaled image, and then you can work on these, each one. This was the red channel, work on that individually. So I wonder if I can take this into denoise AI. No, it will not do a black and white image. But if you do it in, let's say, doing Adobe Camera Raw, you can run a little bit of noise reduction on there. And it doesn't have to be much, if you're doing a channel, but at least it kind of gets rid of that. You lose a tiny bit of definition in the stars, but overall, it's the rest of the channels are going to pick up the slack with you there. But at least you can try to kind of even out some of the noise in there, and depending on how much you want to edit things out there, but you can always still, you can do some curves adjustments. You can do what you can to eliminate some of that noise, but retain, so if you were to doing the per channel editing, something like this is going to start to go a long way. And once you have that whole image built up, it's going to kind of leave you with a much smoother image. And this is hopefully a lot of these little tips are going to kind of stick with those of you who are doing any Astro image processing. And like I said, those who are a member of who are on the Discord and who are subscribers to the channel, this data set is available through a link on there, and you guys can have a go at it and just see what kind of image comes out of there. So when you start off with a very plain looking image, being able to tease out as much of that data as possible is fairly important to to make an interesting as possible Astro image. So I think if I was to plunk this red channel, yeah, that's not going to be the right one. But maybe even use it as a new luminance layer. I know I can't. Why it keeps selecting that opacity box, I don't know. That's not too bad. Now, Architufus had mentioned how he uses a multiply on there. Usually for these ones, you're going to do a luminosity on there. And that is at the expense of losing a bit of color. However, kind of switching it over to multiply, you get a little more contrast back there. You kind of lose some bits in there. So maybe even treading a little lightly with the opacity on. Not there. So I mean, at full opacity, you lose a lot of the detail, but putting that in as a multiply layer, it does kind of increase the contrast, and that's not too bad. Mic check is good. Also, DJ Billy, to let you know, future plans in fairly near future is that we will have a use for more of these channel points. So I appreciate the utilization of them there. But yeah, we will. I'll be working on some little interesting things on the channel relating to astrophotography, science in general, or just the disgruntledness of clouds. I mean, one idea that I'm working on is just a channel point will kind of make it rain on here. Clouds will roll in, bit of thunder, bit of rain. Something like that is an idea for a channel point reward. Little fun things to kind of add on the channel, because I like how other people kind of have that in there. And it's not so much it's a disruptive element, it's just a little fun thing that I want to be able to do. I like little Easter eggs like that, such as when there is a subscription, I do like my little subtrain that pops up. It's a bit of a different idea than how other people use it for, so that's just my take on things. How about a nebula inspection, where you look at a nebula that someone wants to show? So it'd be like picking a target, you mean? Or just trying to get some more information? Because I can actually have that as a command for at least information on objects. I have to build up a database on that, but yeah, I mean, if there's any yeah, so if you're kind of if say we're looking at this one, so if you're kind of to do something like so if it was something like that, then information on the Heart Nebula would pop up. Is that what you mean? Because I can work on that to see to get that implemented. It will take a while, but something like that would be a possibility. All right, I will. That is on the list of things to do. So glad to know that you're thinking about that as well. So if at least one person is thinking about it, at least a dozen others are wondering, why can't we get a little more information? It also, not so much that it saves me from regurgitating this information, but at the same time, it's readily available. So I like it. I dig it. It's good to know that other people are kind of have that in their heads as well. So yeah, that's the where we're kind of at with the Heart Nebula. And let's see. No, not that. Curves. Now, other things that we like to do to try and get a as much contrast here is to kind of pin down some of the areas of the curves so that you can just start to bring up other detailed areas, and that the darker area kind of stays still. You know, it's not being affected by the curves adjustment. That's staying stationary, so that's not going to get any lighter. Whereas, you know, say if we were to get rid of that, everything kind of globally starts to get brighter. So we pop back that in there. That area stays dark, which we want, because those are obscure. That areas of the nebulosity is being obscured by the dust. But we do want to kind of bring up these lighter colors in there. So, and then, you know, depending on how well things look there. Now I'm going to run a couple of instances of the make stars smaller, and hopefully that is going to work on here, because then that's going to bring out some more details in the nebulosity. And at that point, we'll kind of say that we're a little near the end of this image processing. And I know there was going to be, it's going to be a little more detailed on kind of going through this, but we did get hit by that awesome raid by Diatom's attack, and I did want to kind of get more of a visible finished image kind of out to you guys who would just come in to, show you that there are some really cool things in outer space. So that did work a little bit. You can see that the stars are being reduced, and usually you want to run this at least a couple of times to bring down, because the star is this again. It's kind of in the band of the Milky Way, so there's a lot more stars in the area than if you are looking out into like interstellar space, where you get better views of galaxies, because it's peppered with so many stars that it can start to overwhelm the whole nebulosity area. And possibly running that for a third time may or may not impact the image there. Sometimes it can, but other times depending on how the processing has gone, it could start to form little black comas around the stars. But it's not too bad. Somehow that has made them larger. What the deuce? Interesting. All right, and then sometimes the processes just don't do exactly what you want them to do. So I would almost see, and this is where I would, I would step back and go. Actually, no, let's go from there to there. Okay, then no, I was going back to the wrong step. So yeah, you can see from from that curves adjustment that it has shrunk down the stars, and you're able to see a little more of the nebulosity behind there. Yeah, because we have the more reds, let's actually go to the yellows and kind of drop those down a bit. I see Yogi, out for now. Very nice channel. See you soon. Thank you very much for coming in. Thank you very much for the follow. Good to see you in here, and we hope to see you again soon. If you are going to be around tomorrow, around 5 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time, we should be doing some live astro imaging. If not, jump on the Discord, give a follow on Twitter, and that's where I put kind of my main announcements of when things are going down, essentially. So hopefully we will see you again soon. Thank you very much. Appreciate you coming in here, and we'll see you on the next one. Take care. Now with whatever is kind of yellow in here, actually if I kind of drag it towards the end of the red, we can start to bring those colors back to where we want it to be. And it doesn't really impact things too much overall, which is all right there. So kind of looking back to the previous one, at least now we have more of the reds coming through there. You're on Discord already, maybe until tomorrow. Until tomorrow, have a good night or a good afternoon. Yeah, we kind of keep that as a bit of a natural looking red, or at least kind of pull back on the yellow just a little bit so it's not as yellow, and that way we're in a bit of a better place with the image there. And I think there's what it can also come down to is when I pick the gray point on here, and that is the fact, because this is generally you want to pick a an area where there isn't any nebulosity, any of this wispiness around there, because that's going to affect the overall color when you set that gray point there. However, overall it's not too bad. The stars are fairly decent with their color, and you can even run a increased star color on there, and that's going to start to, it makes a bit of a star mask in there, brings up the colors, makes them a little more vibrant. But because we have made a lot of noise, sometimes this can confuse the colors of what are stars and noise, and you might start to amplify a bit of a different bit of data in there. So yeah, that's kind of about the roundabout way of where we've ended off with this image. And I think it's with this one and this one, they're both the Heart Nebula, but this is the core that we were looking at there. There's definitely a lot more work that can kind of go into this. And even this image here, I do want to kind of go back and do a reprocess as well. And it's going to be one of those things I'll end up doing offline, because you can jump back and forth between ideas of what's interesting to look at. So And even then, with this one, there was another variant that kind of popped up that changed the colors completely. So just kind of give you guys an idea of what. Go back one more. So that's about as good of a lineup that I can do. So here it is, the Heart Nebula, the Melotte 15, shot at 1,000 millimeters. And you can see there's a lot more detail that comes through. But when you get in the whole complex in a 250 millimeter image, you lose a bit of detail. So, I mean, there's some, you're getting a lot of the shape and the contrast, and the stars are a little different shape. This was also done with a different telescope. But it is, once you start getting to those longer focal lengths of what we're doing now, it's just kind of capturing those interesting objects, and it is much sharper. And this still isn't even at 100%. So let's go at 100% on this one. We probably got to go, 300% on that. And you just see the difference in resolution and detail that kind of comes through there. And this is also a combination of broadband and narrowband, so you can even see that there's more stars that are visible, and that's when you're using a broadband image and you're not kind of cutting out certain areas of starlight. So they do, and also the focal length as well is helping out with things. So yeah, that's that is the kind of the processing. There is I mean, per channel processing takes a lot longer, and it can be a lot more involved, and it can be a little more boring. So I appreciate you guys have been sticking around for the channel on the channel here, and appreciate Diatom's Attack for the awesome raid that had to come in, and those who have followed the channel and become new friends of the observatory. And yeah, we'll just kind of wind things down for a bit there. You can see now, yeah, we're getting, now there's rain. there's no escaping the weather. It always seems that the weather kind of turns for the worse rather than being in our favor. It's yeah, a little annoying there. But I'm looking at who is streaming right now. And on my list, I mean, I have, usually I kind of pass you guys over to EJ, but he yelled at me the last time. He's like, go rate a smaller streamer. I'm like, I am a small streamer, but you're interesting. So if there's anyone around who has a suggestion, maybe we'll discover maybe a new friend of the channel. Let me know if there's someone else that you follow that you think a lot of us are going to be interested in. I'd be happy to take a suggestion on that there. There's also who we have. Who is this one that I'm following? Got a dude playing Doom Eternal. No one is on. It's it is a bit of a quiet night, but I also at the same time I do appreciate you guys being in on the channel on the channel here. You know, it's been a really good Saturday night, and like I said, these the rainy day astronomy sessions are generally around 3 to 4 hours there, and I think we've kind of naturally wrapped things up. And yeah, it's been really fun. I'm really appreciative of those who have followed the channel. We're almost at 300 followers to the channel, and I think that's incredible. I didn't even know how things were going to go, You know, I felt like I was kind of really struggling at 20 some odd followers, you know? So it's really, really cool to see you guys showing an interest in this channel, and I'm glad to provide this for you guys. And even for the fact that we have a lot of that people have subscribed to the channel as well, and who have come back for another month, for 2 months as well. You know, it's humbling to see that you guys are, you know, in such favor of seeing this kind of content on Twitch. So I appreciate that incredibly. Like I said before, subscriptions, bits, and all that are very, very well appreciated. Never a requirement for the channel at all. But like I said, any of that does go towards astrophotography gear, and what we have recently purchased is a dew heater system, so we are able to combat any condensation forming on our lenses and cutting our night off early. So at least now we can go all night long if need be. Tomorrow night, not the case. Tomorrow night is probably maybe 3 hours worth of imaging time, but it's always good to be able to keep those lenses, the lenses and the mirrors warm, and yeah, keep them dew free. So, all right, let's, here's what we're going to do. Yeah, seriously, the few people I have online are, we wouldn't make much of a dent. So, let's see who's in science and technology. Me. Can't raid me. I'm also checking on my phone, because if I do it on the computer, it really it scuffs the stream. Boxing Day is even, you know, it's even quieter than it was last night. All right. You know, let's. This dude has 3 people on his stream there. I think. Let's go say hello to Watana Jr. Why not? Why not? See what happens there. Space Cobra! Welcome to the observatory. How are you doing tonight? Good to see you in here. For those of you who have just joined in, thank you very much for coming in there. We are looking to wrap things up tonight. And yeah, I think we'll do a bit of a random drop on here. Yeah, let's do that. Let's go in. Let's meet a new friend. I'm going to be honest. I've followed this guy and I haven't watched many of his streams, so I think if we can have a few people come in on there and maybe make some new friends, why not? Let's get it right. WATTANNA JR. That's right. All right. We'll get you guys set up, and I will say my good evenings to you guys. So if you want to stick around for the raid, we're going to drop in on Watana Jr. As long as they don't go on break. I've been notorious for that. We'll check in on a new friend tonight. Thank you guys very much for coming in here. I appreciate it very much. And here is exclamation raid to copy for those who are subscribers to the channel. That'll bring up the emotes. Thank you guys very much. I appreciate you guys staying in here. I appreciate the raid from Diatom's attack. I love you guys. It is fantastic. I have been Tom. I'm the Astro Canuck. Tomorrow night, 5 o'clock, is when we will be doing another stream, so check that out. I'm not here to change the world. I'm here to share the universe. Have a very good night and take care.